We're now going to look at the surface area and volume of cylinders, cones, and spheres. These are some of the most practical shapes going forward that we want to know these formulas for. So we're just going to go over the formulas first. For a cylinder, the surface area of the sphere is 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. And that seems like a whole lot, but really what's going on is that we have in the first part 2 pi r, that's my circumference, times my height. And that's giving me that basically, if I unroll my cylinder, I have the circumference and the height of the cylinder, and you don't need to be drawing this, and that's going to give me the surface area of that part of the cylinder. And then the top and bottom are a circle. So we take our pi r squared, the area of our base, and multiply it by 2. And then our volume is pi r squared h, which is really just a fancy form of what we've been using, which was area of the base times height. Because if my base is a circle, the area of the base is pi r squared. So I'm just going to label on my cylinder, we have r, my radius, and my height. Going down to a cone, with a cone we also have this slanted part, and we call that my slant height. And we abbreviate that with a cursive L. So my surface area is pi r times my slant height plus pi r squared. There's the area of my base right there. I only have one circle, so that's why it's just 1 pi r squared. And then my volume is 1/3 pi r squared h, or 1/3 the area of my base times height. So we could write that as over 3 like is typed, or 1/3 like this, whichever one you like. So we have our slant height L, we have our radius R, and height H. My last figure today is a sphere. Surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared, and volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So the main thing for a sphere is obviously my radius. This first question just asked me to find my surface area and my volume. So my surface area formula from the front is 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. So I can see that I have my height is 8, but I don't see my radius on here. What I want to do is think about the fact that on this little right triangle they gave me, that bottom part is a radius, and the top, which means I have an isosceles triangle because those are going to be the same. So if I have an isosceles right triangle, what kind of triangle is that? It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which means across from 90 is 5√2. So my radius is equal to 5. And now I'm going to substitute into my formula. Surface area equals 2 pi, my radius is 5, and my height is 8, plus 2 pi, radius of 5, squared. So surface area equals 80 pi plus 50 pi, which is going to give me 130 pi for my surface area. Now let's look at volume. The volume formula is pi r squared, that's the area of my base, times height. Volume equals pi, my radius is 5, times a height of 8. So my volume is 200 pi, Once again, unless you're explicitly given something, we're going to leave stuff in terms of pi. That means don't use the pi button on your calculator or replace pi with 3.14. Now we have a problem that's given to us in words. So it says the volume of a cylinder is 36 pi yards cubed. So volume equals 36 pi. And its height, so that would be h, is 4 yards. H is 4. Find the surface area. Well, in my surface area formula, if I write that, equals 2 pi, radius, I don't know that, height, yes I do, 2 pi r squared. So what I need to do is find r. So I'm going to focus over here on my volume and write my volume formula. When all else fails, write your formula and think for a second. Well, they gave me volume, so my volume, they said, is 36 pi equals pi, I don't know r squared, times my height of 4. Okay, what are some things we notice? I notice I have pi on both sides, so 36 equals 4r squared. Let's divide by 4. I get 9 equals r squared. Do the square root, so r equals 3. So my radius is 3. And now I can plug that into my surface area formula. Surface area equals 2 pi. Now my radius is 3. And my height was 4 plus 2 pi. Radius is 3 squared. So surface area equals 24 pi plus 18 pi. So surface area equals 42 pi. And I'm going to be really good and put my units, yards, squared. Now let's look at cones. So for a cone, I'm always going to start with my formula. My formula for surface area is pi r L, remember L is my slant height, plus pi r squared, that's the area of my base. So surface area equals pi, my radius is 1, times L, I don't know, so I'm going to skip that for a second. That really looks like an 11. Plus pi 1 squared. So for surface area, I need to go ahead and find my slant height. So for that, look, we have a little right triangle. So how could I find my slant height? We could do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is now going to be my slant height. So 4 plus 1 equals L squared. So L is going to be square root of 5. And I'm going to simplify my formula a little bit. So surface area equals square root of 5 pi plus 1 pi. And since I have a square root and something without a square root, I can't combine those anymore. So square root of 5 pi plus pi. Now we're going to do volume. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared height. Volume equals 1/3 pi. My r is 1, so 1 squared. My height is 2. So my volume is 2/3 pi. Next we have another word problem. A cone has a volume, so V equals 432 pi, and a height, so H is 9. find the surface area. So my surface area formula for a cone is pi radius slant height plus pi r squared. Well, they didn't give me radius or slant height, so I'm going to have to find both of those by starting with what they gave me, which is volume. So my volume formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. The volume they gave me is 432 equals 1/3 pi, I don't know my r squared, times my height is 9. Once again, we have our volume is 432, my height is 9. So to simplify that a little bit, we get 432 equals 1/3 of 9 is 3. Oh, and I lost a pi. Whoops, which is going to be helpful in a second. R squared, we do have a pi on both sides, now that I fixed it. And we're going to divide by 3. So 432 divided by 3 is going to give me 144. So 144 equals r squared. We'll do the square root, and the square root of 144 is 12. So in my surface area formula, I now have my r, which goes in a couple spots, but I'm still missing my slant height. So I'm not quite done yet. I'm just substituting in r where I have it. So how do I find my slant height? Sometimes it helps for us to actually draw a figure. So remember, with a cone, I have my radius, which we just found is 12. We have the height of the cone we know is 9. And so we can get our slant height. Once again, we have a right triangle, so I can do Pythagorean theorem. And I have 9 squared plus 12 squared equals my slant height squared. So I get 225 equals L squared. Square root of both sides, my slant height is 15. And now I have what I need to put in my formula. So surface area equals 180 pi plus 144 pi. So surface area equals 324 pi. And my last figure we're going to talk about is the sphere. Once again, the first problem asks us for surface area and volume. So my surface area formula for a sphere is 4 pi r squared. So they don't give me my r, they give me that the area of this circle right here is 49 pi. What's the area formula for a circle? Pi r squared. So that means 49 pi equals pi r squared. What do we have on both sides? We have pi. So 49 equals r squared, which means r equals 7. So now I can substitute that 7 in for my radius. And after simplifying that, I'm going to get that surface area is 196 pi. It also asked me for volume. My volume formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. I now have my radius, so volume equals 4/3 pi, and my radius is 7. So my volume is 1,372 over 3 pi. Last one. A sphere has a volume of 7,776 pi meters cubed. Find the surface area. So surface area is 4 pi r squared. We don't have our radius, so let's go back. Volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. They give me it's a volume of 7776 pi equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Once again, pi on both sides. And when we have a fraction like this, I like to multiply by the denominator first to get rid of the fraction part. Now, if you want to multiply by the reciprocal, that's totally fine. We all end up in exactly the same spot. This is just what I've seen to be more likely to get you the correct answer. And I get a nice large number when I multiply by 3. And then we're going to divide by 4, and I get 5,832 equals r cubed. And if I do the cube root of that, or say what number cubed is 5,832, we're going to get that my r is 18. And now I have what I need to substitute into my surface area formula. So surface area is 4 pi times a radius of 18 squared. So my surface area equals 1,296 pi.